Arthur Conan Doyle, The Poetry. If ever a writer needed an introduction, Arthur Conan Doyle would not be considered that man. After all, Sherlock Holmes is perhaps the foremost literary detective of any age. Add to this canon his stories of science fiction and horror, his historical novels, his political campaigning, his efforts in establishing a court of appeal, and there is little room for anything else. Except there is, because he was also a poet. Not perhaps the finest, but his distinctive voice is certainly evident amongst his lines and verses, and it's a voice worth listening to, something very different from what you might expect. So without further ado, our readers, including Richard Midgley and Gisela Rowe, will bring you the poems of Arthur Conan Doyle.
A Ballad of the Ranks by Arthur Conan Doyle. Who carries the gun? A lad from over the Tweed. Then let him go, for well we know he comes of a soldier breed. So drink together to rock and heather, out where the red deer run, and stand aside for Scotland's pride, the man that carries the gun. For the colonel rides before, the major's on the flank, the captains and the adjutant are in the foremost rank. But when it's action full front and fighting's to be done, come one, come all, you stand or fall by the man who holds the gun. Who carries the gun? A lad from a Yorkshire dale. Then let him go, for well we know the heart that will never fail. Here's to the fire of Lancashire, and here's to her soldier son, for the hard-bit north has sent him forth, the lad that carries the gun. Who carries the gun? A lad from a Midland shire. Then let him go, for well we know he comes of an English sire. Here's a glass to a Midland lass, and each can choose the one, but east and west we claim the best for the man that carries the gun. Who carries the gun? A lad from the hills of Wales. Then let him go, for well we know that taffy is hard as nails. There are several L's in the place where he dwells, and of W's more than one. With a llan and a pen, but it breeds good men, and it's they who carry the gun. Who carries the gun? A lad from the windy west. Then let him go, for well we know that he is one of the best. There's Bristol rough and Gloucester tough, and Devon yields to none, or you may get in Somerset your lad to carry the gun. Who carries the gun? A lad from London town. Then let him go, for well we know the stuff that never backs down. He has learned to joke at the powder smoke, for he is the fog smoke's son, and his heart is light and his pluck is right, the man who carries the gun. Who carries the gun? A lad from the Emerald Isle. Then let him go, for well we know we've tried him many a while. We've tried him east, we've tried him west, we've tried him sea and land, but the man to beat old Erin's best has never yet been planned. Who carries the gun? It is you and you and you. So let us go, and we won't say no if they give us a job to do. Here we stand with a cross-linked hand, comrades every one. So one last cup and drink it up to the man who carries the gun. For the colonel rides before, the major on the flank, the captains and the adjutant are in the foremost rank, and when it's action front and there's fighting to be done, come one, come all, you stand or fall by the man who holds the gun.
Advice to a Young Author by Arthur Conan Doyle. First begin taking in, cargo stored, all aboard. Think about giving out. Empty ship, useless trip. Never strain, weary brain. Hardly fit, wait a bit. After rest comes the best. Sitting still, let it fill. Never press, nerve stress always shows. Nature knows. Critics kind, never mind. Critics flatter, no matter. Critics curse, none the worse. Critics blame, all the same. Do your best, hang the rest.
Empire Builders by Arthur Conan Doyle. Captain Temple, DSO, with his banjo and retriever. Rough, I know, on poor old Flo, but by Jove I couldn't leave her. Niger ribbon on his breast, in his blood the Niger fever. Captain Temple, DSO, with his banjo and retriever. Cox of the politicals, with his cigarette and glasses, skilled in Pushtu gutturals, odd job man among the passes, keeper of the Zaka Kells, tutor of the Khyber Ghazis, Cox of the politicals with his cigarette and glasses. Mr. Hawkins, junior sub, late of Woolwich and Thames Ditton, thinks his battery the hub of the whole wide orb of Britain. Half a hero, half a cub, lithe and playful as a kitten, Mr. Hawkins, junior sub, late of Woolwich and Thames Ditton. 80 Tommies, big and small, grumbling hard as is their habit. Say, mate, what's a bunner wall? Something like a bloomin' rabbit. Got to hoof it to Chitral. Blast you, did you think to cab it? 80 Tommies, big and small, grumbling hard as is their habit. Swarthy Gurkhas, short and stout, merry children, laughing, crowing, don't know what it's all about, don't know any use in knowing. Only know they mean to go where the Sirdar thinks of going. Little Gurkhas, brown and stout, merry children, laughing, crowing. Punjab rifles, fit and trim, curly-whiskered sons of battle, very dignified and prim, till they hear the Jezails rattle. Cattle thieves of yesterday, now the wardens of the cattle, fighting Brahmins of Lahore, curly-whiskered sons of battle. Up the winding mountain path see the long-drawn column go, Himalayan aftermath lying rosy on the snow. Motley ministers of wrath, building better than they know, in the rosy aftermath, trailing upward to the snow.
Darkness by Arthur Conan Doyle. A gentleman of wit and charm, a kindly heart, a cleanly mind, one who was quick with hand or purse to lift the burden of his kind. A brain well balanced and mature, a soul that shrank from all things base, so rode he forth that winter day, complete in every mortal grace. And then the blunder of a horse, the crash upon the frozen clods, and death? Ah, no such dignity, but life all twisted and at odds in body and in soul, degraded to some brutish state, a being loathsome and malign, debased, obscene, degenerate. Pathology? The case is clear, the diagnosis is exact. A bone depressed, a hemorrhage, the pressure on a nervous tract. Theology? Ah, there's the rub, since brain and soul together fade. Then when the brain is dead enough, Lord help us, for we need thine aid.